Welcome to Synthaholic Games. This is your host, David, and with me is...
I'm Brian, and we talk about video game stuff, David.
Sometimes we talk about video games.
Sometimes we talk about video game stuff. We were just talking about Wonder Woman, David.
We don't have
an article for this one yet, but this is something we just were talking about. We might as well just keep the conversation going, you know?
We will go ahead and do that before we get to our first actual article. I think I pulled up an article for this last time, but then we had technical issues, so we didn't. But WB, the Warner Brothers, they own the company that made Suicide Squad killed the Justice League. And you know what they did? They shut down the company that was making Wonder Woman, the next game that was going to use the Nemesis system.
I felt like you were taking me on a journey there. I didn't know where I was going.
And somehow the studio that made Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League still lives.
Unaffected.
Somehow unaffected by the terrible decisions they've made, but somehow they've shut down They also shut down the studio that made Multiverses and another WB studio that was making an unannounced...
Multiverses didn't do very good.
Sure. I mean, I'm not hurt by Multiverses. I never played it. I was never intending on playing it.
But you're not hurt by it? This was a travesty.
Was not hurt by the loss of Multiverses personally. And then I was also not hurt by them shutting down another studio that was reportedly making a live service game, which, I mean, shut down all your studios making live service games. But the Wonder Woman game, it was made by Monolith. They gave us Shadow of War and Battle for Mordor. No, they did the Fear games back in the day.
Oh, they did Fear?
Yeah.
Okay. Those were supposed to be good, right?
I heard they were good. I never played them, but
Shadow of War was good. Then the second one wasn't so good.
Shadow of War, yeah, the one that was like they made you pay money to actually finish the game and get the actual ending, which was like awful. Those awful predatory practices. But Wonder Woman was supposed to bring the Nemesis system back because WB, in their infinite wisdom, have put a patent on the Nemesis system, so no one has been able to use it. And apparently no one knows how to use it because it was funny. A couple weeks ago, I texted Brian. I'm like, oh no, the Wonder Woman game, they dropped the Nemesis system. That was 99% of the reason I was excited for this Wonder Woman game coming out. And then like days after that came the announcement that Monolith is shut down. So the Wonder Woman game is shut down. And I'm like, wow, that was fast. It went from dropping the Nemesis system to no longer existing at all.
Yeah, it did do that. So for the Nemesis system, I feel like you have to build a big part of your game around the Nemesis system.
Yeah.
I wonder if that's why people haven't like done it before. Like there's no way
other studios haven't done it because it's got a patent on it. They can't do it without risk of getting sued.
There's so many people that like have creative, they'll change it a little bit or whatever. There's no way they have like so much control that nobody can use it. It's like throwing a Pokeball.
Well, but that's the thing. Like since it is got a specific patent on it, if they come close to mimicking it, they're coming at risk of being sued. And video games are risky enough business as is without the risk of a lawsuit on top of it. So there's
got to be a game out there that kind of has the Nemesis system. There's got to be something.
I don't know of one, but I mean, yeah, I think the Nemesis system has to be like the core of the game for the game to work.
Yeah.
And if it's not built with it at the core, then it's probably not going to work right, because that's kind of how progression and how the enemies recognize you. Yeah. It's got to be built around that setup, and it's a really cool and innovative setup, and no one's used it since Shadow of War.
You'll never get it. You'll never get it now.
Not until the patent runs out and someone else actually attempts to use it.
We'll be dead by that time. We're not making it that much. It wouldn't be until I think the patent expires in 2035, and then if somebody wants to make a game, it'll be like 2050 because it'll take this. We're just gonna exponentially get longer in how long it takes time to make games. So right now we're at like, some of these games take like 7 to 10 years. in 10 years from now, it's going to start taking like 10 to 14 years to make a game.
Hey, wait. The Yakuza game that comes out in 2035 will be able to use it. They'll get it out that year because the Yakuza people are that good. That would be amazing.
You think that games are just going to start like using AI to create the games? I feel like that's where we're going to go. It's going to just, the human element is just going to be gone. It's just going to be an AI, somebody typing in a prompt for, I want this to happen, and then the AI will make it.
God, I hope not.
Well, I'll have to turn toward, I mean, I feel like the industry's kind of just been turning toward, not the industry. The industry is, that's when I think industry, I think of like the big companies. The people that play the games, that actually play the games in the industry, are going more towards indie games now, I think. I mean, even the Game Awards, a couple of years ago, they never recognized indie games as a Game of the Year option, and now I think consistently for 2 years, there's been like a lot of indie games that are just being nominated and winning some stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if it's not Game of the Year, there are some other categories in the Game Awards that indie games are just winning now, and they're beating out these like $200 million budget games, and it's just a single guy that made this game on weekends, like Balatro, that's winning them. So I don't know, man. If you want to, it'd feel pretty bad if you're a big studio and you spend $200 million on a game and you lose to a guy that worked on weekends.
Yeah, I mean, it's the state of the gaming industry is kind of weird right now. We're in this weird just growth pains thing. The industry in general is over reliant on AI. Just look at Nvidia. Like Nvidia is just like shoving AI crap down our throats, and I don't want it. I want.
No, you're gonna want it. You want it. You want the AI.
I don't want it. I want the games to to work and to run natively and look good, not to be upscaled and all this other jank garbage. You
want humans to actually be working on it, is what you're saying.
Yes, please.
That's a very human thing to say, and you need to stop that.
Yeah, I'm AI. I'm an AI phobe.
Pro-human. You stop being pro-human.
I'm robophobic. AI
robophobia. You have robophobia.
Robophobia, AI phobia. Yeah, I'm not. I'm not for this garbage. I mean, AI has its place. I just watched a video recently where AI helped, people discover
spell check
the sequence of, amino acids and stuff like that. Like, it has its place in science to do this tedious stuff faster than people can do it. I think it is a good technology to have. It is a good tool. It is not a good tool for crereative things because
it's a tool. It doesn't replace the human. It's a tool.
Yes, it is a tool. It is a tool in a toolbox. It does not replace humans. And people are trying to do all this AI generated stuff and random generated worlds. They are not good. Look at Starfield. Don't do it. Stop doing that stuff.
Well, it's even like Guitar Hero. They're coming out with a new Guitar Hero game, and the cover picture is just straight up AI. The art on the promotional art that they use is just a straight up AI image. It's like I could have put that together, and I literally could have put the promotional image for the new Guitar Hero that's coming out together in 10 minutes.
Yeah, it's just sad. I mean, I in my free time, I'm learning how to keyframe animate in Blender. Yeah, it takes a tremendous amount of time and effort to do this.
Switch over to AI. Blender takes too long.
No, then I'm not doing anything if it's AI.
You're typing in the words to tell it what to do.
No.
That's going to be a new job title where you type in prompts. You're going to be a prompt typer.
Prompt typer.
AI is creating jobs. It's not taking them away.
No,
they're creating the jobs so the prompt people can get what you need out of it.
Gotcha.
Anyway, we're totally off topic of what we had planned to talk about. I think. I don't think we had.
Well, speaking about, I was kind of down on Nvidia for the crap they're doing with AI. They're also doing other crap. Nvidia quietly ends PhysX 32-bit on 50 series cards and ends 32-bit CUDA app support. This is absolutely ridiculous.
We're gonna have to use AI.
NVIDIA bought PhysX and made it part of their thing. For a while, they sold exclusive PhysX cards so that they could run the PhysX applications. Like, they should at least be emulating the PhysX on their stuff, since it's it's property they own, and it's making older games unplayable unless you put in an old GPU that has 32-bit physics support. So we're back in the days of needing a dedicated physics card for older stuff, which is ridiculous.
That article doesn't mention, so I'm assuming the NVIDIA hasn't said anything, but do we know what the reasoning was behind them doing this? Like, is the, like, cost of how much it would... I feel like it can't cost that much.
It can't cost. It's old ass technology. We're talking like Mirror's Edge, Borderlands 2. This is old stuff. Like, I'm surprised they don't have an AI writing software to emulate this stuff. Like, why? Like, if you're removing hardware support for it, emulate it.
I would like to know the reason why. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
Like, I mean,
it's gotta be a cost. It has to be cost cutting, but like, how much? NVIDIA is now like one of the most valuable companies on the planet. They're like $1 trillion. They're multiple $1 trillion company, and they drop, like, how much could this cost to, like, support? I don't know.
I don't know. It's absolutely ridiculous that it's got no support for older games. Like, I mean, I do play some older games, but I do believe in the concept of game preservation. And when you release hardware and it isn't compatible with old software, then we're losing that. Like, there's videos on YouTube where, like, people are playing Mirror's Edge and, like, they break the glass and it goes from like 200 frames down to 7. Because the physics engine ended. Yeah, the physics engine. And I'm like, I mean, you know, in other games too, like any other games that use like physics for some of the particle effect, like Borderlands 2. I don't know all the other examples, but it's just insane that it's not emulated somehow for it to work.
I don't have a good answer to you.
It makes no sense that
especially when, like, NVIDIA's entire gaming branch of what they are now is, like, the amount of money it makes is starting to be like a rounding error for how much money they're making. Like, their gaming division does not make as much money anymore compared to their AI one. It just doesn't. It's just not big anymore. It's like 10% of what they make. So it's like, how much money could it actually cost to get this stuff working? I don't know the answer to that, but it's stupid.
So for $2,000, and you can't even get these cards at $2,000, the 5090. So you pay $4,000 because you can't buy anything at MSRP, and then it can't even run a 10-year-old game at a decent frame rate. That is absolutely ridiculous. That is unacceptable in any stretch of the imagination. Like, it's also unacceptable that they announce these cards at an MSRP and then they just are impossible to find at the MSRP. Like, why even announce an MSRP when it's not even in the ballpark for most of their cards?
Just, like, don't leave a price.
I mean, basically, I mean, because, I mean, you're lying, because, I mean, you can't buy the cards for that stated price. I mean, my 4070 Ti,
but that's
my
not
4070 Ti Super.
We can't say that you can't get it at that price. NVIDIA will sell it at that price, but they'll make like one card. And then they'll sell it on their site for that MSRP price.
Okay, but that's not
they're not lying. You can get it for that price if you buy it from them.
Well, if there's only one, then no, I can't. I mean, you have to make the product available at that price for people to buy, not just a person to buy. You make it available
at that price. That is the MSRP for that card. It's just nobody listens to that.
But also the lower series cards, NVIDIA doesn't make their own version. They only made like the 5090 and the 5080 and maybe the 5070 Ti. But the 5070 didn't
move on. Then they stopped making them, right? Like when they go to the 60 series, they'll stop making the 50 series, right? They don't. I don't think they make previous generations.
That's also a major problem because the 40 series are also impossible to find. Like, I paid basically the cost of a 5080 for my. No, I paid more than what a 5080 cost for my 4090 Ti Super. Or the MSRP of I paid higher than an MSRP of a 5080 for my 4070 Ti Super.
Maybe
Because
it's
you can't
like,
get anything at MSRP that's a decent card.
maybe at this point you have to buy a pre-built to.
Yeah, you pretty much have to. Yeah, probably that's probably the cheapest way to get a graphics card.
I don't know the numbers of everything because I'm not in the market from buying a PC, but I know you were. So it's like at this point, it's like getting these graphics cards are so difficult. It's like I'm just gonna get a pre-built.
Probably buy the cheapest pre-built with the card you want, and then build the rest of the computer. You still might save money.
Yeah,
I don't know. It
maybe.
is just absolutely ridiculous, this market, and the paper launch Nvidia did, and they're taking away the PhysX support. Like, it's just, come on, Nvidia, you make so much money. Like, it is absolutely ridiculous to cut this out. It's not like your ATI. It's not like your AMD or something.
Oh man.
Oh man. So speaking of things, hardware and things not running good and looking good, it runs awful, it looks awful. Monster Hunter Wilds issues put dampener on record-breaking concurrent numbers.
Yeah. So
as it runs into mixed rankings on Steam. This is an article from February 28th, and it is now, as of recording, 3:15, and it is still mixed on Steam, and I cannot find any evidence that they've done anything to fix the performance of this game. So
they haven't yet. It's coming.
I can't find anything. So
no, I'm sure they'll do a couple patches that will fix a couple things. They might not be that big. You and I mentioned before that they'll probably have some giant expansion when the real game comes out, and then maybe by then it'll be fixed. It's just a bit disappointing because we like playing Monster Hunter, but unfortunately my computer probably can't run Monster Hunter anymore. So I don't want to spend $70 getting a game that I can't play yet.
No. Your computer and my wife's computer can absolutely run Monster Hunter Wilds.
Yes.
But you're going to have to play it on low texture quality to get a decent frame rate.
Yeah, I don't want to do that.
And the game doesn't look that good on high texture quality.
I don't know, man.
And then they have the ultra high texture quality that requires 16 gigs of VRAM to use. Most NVIDIA cards don't come with 16 gigs. Most of them come with less, unless you have one of the three high-end cards. The 80... Yeah. The 90 or a 70 Ti Super. Like, that's the only time. Everything underneath that is basically 12 gigs of RAM, except for that one-off, like the 3060 or whatever. They did have 16 for whatever reason. They had like the one with they had an 8 gig and a 16 gig of the 3060, I think it was. But like, it is absolutely insane that this game requires 16 gigs of VRAM, and that's hard to find.
I just wish AMD would catch up.
I wish AMD would catch up. I wish, I don't
want Intel to catch up.
I think it'd be funny if Intel caught up, because I mean,
like later this year they just announced a card that's stronger than the 4090, and it actually is.
Well, I mean, the 5090 isn't even stronger than the 4090.
That's what I mean. The Intel comes out with a card that's just better than Nvidia's best card. That'd be funny. Well, they won't. I'm sure they're nowhere near that, but
I've seen some benchmarks, and the 5090 isn't even as good as the 4090 under some situations and in some games, which is bonkers.
Yeah.
Like it seems like the GDDR7 doesn't make that much of a difference. Like, you'd think that the new RAM speeds would make it it would by itself like help push these cards, above their previous generation, and it's not. Like, this generation has had one of the smallest generational uplifts in GPUs made by NVIDIA in forever, basically. It is really sad.
Hey man, it is what it is. Just hopefully we'll be able to fix Monster Hunter so we can play it one day.
I want to play it one day, but I'm not holding my breath that it'll ever work, because
I'm starting now.
Because Hogwarts Legacy never got better, and that game's been out for a couple years now. My wife just finished. Kaylee, she just finished playing it, and it was rough. Like, she'd be like, look, and I'd be watching, and it'd go like from like 60 frames a second to a slideshow
presentation.
Yeah, to a PowerPoint presentation. It's awful. And the weird thing is, usually when you see a game drop that many frames, you think it's going to crash. The game is stable. It doesn't crash, but it just will slideshow for a long ass time before it decides to catch back up.
So it's a feature. It's a feature.
God, like I don't understand why they can't optimize games. That's why I don't have particularly a lot of faith that Monster Hunter will be fixed, because Hogwarts Legacy, one of the best-selling games WB's ever sold, still isn't fixed. So I mean, like,
they're on to bigger and better things.
Yeah, I don't know.
Hogwarts Legacy 2.
Well, that's the thing. Like, if it's going to be a similar map or the same map, I don't trust it will run any better.
Well, it might run better because they'll have more time to work on it if it's the same map again.
But that's the thing. Like, they should roll out the change in Hogwarts Legacy 1. Let me see that it's fixed before I spend money on Hogwarts Legacy 2. Because as it is right now, I'm not interested in Hogwarts Legacy 2. The game story wasn't good enough for me to want to play it, and the technical problems.
Not gonna matter, man. That Hogwarts Legacy game is one of the best-selling games of all time.
All right.
It's in the top 50.
Well, the next article is Xbox new hardware plans begin with gaming handheld set for later this year, with a full next-gen consoles targeting 2027.
Oh, we've been reporting, David, over the past couple months. We think Xbox is out of the game for hardware, but now they announced that they're gonna release a handheld that's going to support Steam. So it's rumored that this handheld is going to be Xbox.
So it's just a Steam Deck with Xbox Live built into it.
It's a Steam Deck with Game Pass.
It's the Steam Deck Game Pass deck.
But I feel like, I think that'll be compelling to some people. Where they'll have all Steam games, so you'll be able to play God of War on your Xbox handheld. Which is, I don't know how PlayStation will feel about that, but I don't know. I feel like that could be compelling to some people.
Maybe it could be. I mean, that's interesting.
There's not much more to say about it. It's just these are just like super early, rumors and all that. But if Xbox came out with a handheld that supports Steam and supports Xbox Game Pass, I mean, that's a huge library that they have access to. Yeah. So we'll just have to see how it comes out. It feels like that could be a good thing for them, because we all know that Xbox needs a win, because they sure haven't had any recently.
They don't need
even though Microsoft just had record-breaking profits for 2024, Xbox somehow doesn't feel like they're doing too good.
No, it doesn't feel like it. Speaking of things doing good, though, Space Marine 3 officially in development. I loved Space Marine 2, and Space Marine 1 was also very good.
Yeah, so the third, I know we were talking about Space Marine 3, if they were gonna do it or not. That was a couple months ago when we finished that game up, and now we got news that the third one's being in development. Hopefully, it won't take. How long did the other one take? 12 years.
It took a while, yeah. So hopefully, it won't be quite as long.
Yeah, I mean, they already have. I mean, I'm cool if they just like kind of reuse some of the assets or whatever. Again, the game looked great and it ran pretty good too for how much stuff was on screen at once.
Oh yeah, it was pretty awesome.
Yeah, I know we keep bringing up Monster Hunter, but once there's like 5 things on screen, you're down 40 FPS.
40 FPS, yeah.
And when we were playing Space Marine, there'd be, I think, literally hundreds.
Yeah, it was bonkers. I loved how
I think hundreds of things were on screen.
That game was optimized amazingly. Yeah. That game worked really, really well. But yeah,
I mean, there was a couple moments where my game crashed or there was a frame drop or whatever. But like, I'm also not running the top of my computer's getting kind of old at this point, so it worked well.
All right, but that's what we got this week for Synthaholic Games. Very good stuff.
Yes, sir.
Well, thank you all for...
Yes. Email david@synthaholics@yahoo.com.
All right, and thank you all for listening. We'll catch you next time on Synthaholic Games.
Bye.